Let's talk about our alchemist, now Prime, Lavos. Let's talk about the frame abilities, pros, cons, potential synergies, and also I'm gonna give my opinion about the frame. So, Lavos is a pretty unique Warframe in the way that he has no energy. His abilities are based on cooldown, and after casting an ability, it will enter this cooldown that can be reduced by casting his third ability, which is called Transmutation Probe. So, the passive. Lavos can imbue his other abilities by holding the current corresponding ability button, adding anything from basic elements that are toxin, cold, electricity, and heat up to complex elements such as viral, radiation, corrosive, magnetic, the blast, you name it. And also his ability duration equals to his status effects duration, be that applied by the abilities or the weapons. Also, upon collecting a universal orb, that is a energy or a health orb that is touched by Transmutation Probe, that it will become a universal orb, he will gain 10 seconds of status immunity. Now the first ability is called Ophidian Bite, which will attack using the snakes on his arms, applying toxin damage in front of him, and healing you based on the damage dealt. Second ability, and usually the subsumed one, is Vial Rush, which will dash and release vials on the way that deal cold damage and apply cold status effects to enemies that touch it. And this is actually a pretty unique slope, or it used to be. If I'm not wrong, Sci-Fi found out about like a unique way that this was applying code to demolishers, so it's kind of neat. But this is usually the subsumed ability because it's not as powerful as the other ones. Third ability, Transmutation Probe. For every enemy hit, it will reduce the cooldown of his other abilities and also transmute health, energy, and ammo to its universal forms. For the fourth ability, Catalyze, it will send out pretty much drones that will apply heat to nearby enemies. But not only this, but the weapon also has pretty much a condition overload built in. So the more status effects you have on the enemies, the more damage Catalyze will do. Getting up to very interesting levels, pretty close to a nuking, if I might say. So these are the abilities. This is the only build that I have that has the default abilities. That's why I'm using it. So the build is kind of meh. That's why I couldn't even reach all the enemies. Not only that, but also the Cedo is not the most consistent primer ever. So there's also that. Lavos is a pretty interesting frame, and he could be one hell of a tank, but there are a couple details. Lavos has good health, Lavos has good armor, but he lacks the defensive ability, and that's the problem. You don't have anything to really reduce the damage you're taking other than your health and shields. So that is a huge problem. You can also already kind of tell that his health tanking isn't gonna be anything too great. He can also not do energy tanking because he has none. Following on the same line, he cannot properly shield gate because he has no energy, so he can't even use Brief Respite or the Augur set. So that is a big F. That is pretty much his con. His defense kind of sucks. We'll get into some possibilities a bit later, but yeah, as a starter, his defense kind of sucks. As for the pros, he can kind of nuke with his fourth ability if you build it right. He can heal himself with his first ability. Universal orbs are always cool. And you can get some very neat combos because of his augment ability, which is Valence Formation. For every imbued element that ability used, you will apply a 200% of that element to your weapons with a very good duration, and that's pretty much about it. He's an excellent weapon platform. Might be really close to Saren. Not really sure. I can't really say he's better than her, but he has more possibilities as for adding a damage type to your weapon, but those hits are not, not guaranteed procs like Saren's Toxic Lash is. So yeah, there is that. And yeah, that's kind of how it goes and how we have to deal with it. Let's get on to the builds now. My first two builds for Lavos are actually to try and health tank, but it's kind of hard. When you face a lot of enemies, he's just not gonna survive. That's how it goes. He almost does, but lacks more defense. And also here we have a very not the most realistic scenario, because there is a crap ton of enemies attacking. So maybe he could survive a bit more on normal circumstances. But as for what it is, he's not gonna have the best time. Also, there are always improvements to be made to the builds, so keep that in mind. Also, here I tried to sacrifice as much as I could on the range and pretty much go with duration to further increase the duration of my procs, and yeah, to help with Valence Formation too, which is, as I was talking, Valence Formation is pretty neat. I'm gonna change to the second build to show you that a bit better. A build focused again on Valence Formation, status duration, kind of tanking a bit, and increasing the damage that we're gonna add to our weapons. Here I have a dual Zoran that has electricity, built for melee influence. So we have our melee influence. We're gonna be attacking, applying that electricity, and spreading only electricity because it doesn't spread physical status effects. So yeah, that's kind of about it. We can't kill, definitely, but if we are to use this, wait a second, there we go, Valence Formation is up. Now we are gonna be applying our electricity, trigger our influence, and then heat because of the Valence Formation. Now we kill them a lot faster. The same, could add the same in the reverse order. Have heat in the weapon and then add electricity through the ability, and get the influence and all that setup going as well. So this is kind of a mid ground, between the two. The two. I tried a build with Quiver just to see how it would go, but you pretty much have two chances of getting a hit, and if you don't get it, you are likely to be dead. So if you can land it, great. If you miss the first, you can use Transmutation to reset the ability, and then if you missed again, then yeah, you're gonna have to wait for the reload, the cooldown. So yeah, that is a possibility. Also making use that I have such a high duration on the frame. So that is a plus for my status effects and a plus for my invisibility. Yeah. It sounds good, but I don't know. Might be just too much, for some people. I also tried Omamori with a shield build, which shield build it's pretty much Vigilante Vigor and Fast Deflection in the Arcane Ages. There isn't much else you can add to it. And this was actually one of the best builds I could pull out in terms of defense. Let me just remove the Sentinel, because it can actually affect the results. The Sentinel could be a decent addition to the... It's definitely is because of regen. So he could give me another chance of not dying. I'm gonna consider that every hit could essentially just deplete my shields. So in theory, Omamori gives me an extra chance of triggering Arcane Ages. The first hit is gonna deplete my shields, or actually, yeah, it's gonna deplete my shields, putting me into shield gating. And then if I take a hit and Omamori actually activates, I think it might just give me my shields back if I have my full health. So that is another chance to survive. You know, it's not guaranteed, but it's a possibility. And yeah, so far it looks like this is the best thing I could pull out for survival. Yeah. As long as I have my Aegis up, I'm not dying. As soon as Aegis ends, I can use Rolling Guard to get my full shields and pray that I'm gonna get another chance. Again, it's a gamble, but yeah. It feels a bit more consistent than the health tanking. Or better said, this can actually scale. The health tanking will definitely not scale. Other than that, this is the shields build that I was using to demonstrate the abilities. And I got a build for the fort ability that pretty much adds Archon Vitality, some strength. And yeah, I think that's about it. I could even add to the build Growing Power. Again, these are testing builds. There are always improvements to be made. So I'm gonna use my Roar, prime the targets as best as I can. And then I'm gonna use my Catalyze. And there we have kind of a nuke. There were millions of damage ticks there. That was pretty much the heat doing all the job. That's it. Kind of how it goes. Let me see if I have the right build. Yeah, it's kind of a build on my Cedo for an attempt of Hidden Inherit. Something like that. Alright, so these are the builds I've made so far. But I would still go with the Omamori build, because I think it's the one that can survive the most. I really try to focus on the Valence formation because I think it's kind of the best way to go. I think it's a very powerful augment, and you should probably use that. Potential synergies that I talked about. One thing that can really keep you alive, and it is an extra, because of Lavos's ability duration going along with his, status effect duration, you can use secondary fortifier, and that is going to be an extra layer of immortality, as I like to call them. Here I have like heat for a dot, and then I just added electricity to be another dot, so chances of me dying are greatly reduced, I'm gonna call. And I also have Omamori now, so this can be an option for you. But as long as you have an Overguard enemy around, if they die, they lose Overguard. You're kinda back to having only a chance with Omamori, giving you another chance, pretty much. And relying on that Aegis activation and kind of being effed because you can't use shield gating properly, which Brief Respite or the other set. Another thing that could be a possibility, but it sadly doesn't really work, is to Also, thinking that could go along with the status duration is using the Rakta Dark Dagger, which could, in theory, apply a well-lasting dots and keep giving us shield. But that's not gonna work very well because in order to get shields back with the Rakta Dark Dagger, you need to have shields, at least 1 point of shield. And yeah, we can't even use Brief Respite or the Augur mods to get some shields back. So yeah, that unfortunately is not the best thing in the world. So other than that, anything that's gonna really use status effects, you can have like a great benefit from the status duration that Lavos grants because of his passive. I think that's really powerful, and I think that's worth using. You know, you can think of a lot of stuff that can be unique. You know, Dual Walker is great. Maybe we could make a build for Afflictions. Afflictions is already powerful, but imagine now having the extra duration because of Lavos. So that's kind of crazy. Yeah. Yep. Great damage, great duration. Could be kind of crazy, but especially you could think of weapons with unique effects, and to try and make it a much better. I could think of the Ichor. I'm not really gonna be just taking stuff and see if it works. One of the things is this could be a possibility. The Ruvox. Let's add. I'm gonna add heat actually. Let's see. I like to try stuff, We're here for that, so why not? Bam. And it goes the nuking. Yeah. That seems like it's sounds a bit powerful. Sounds powerful. Great duration. So yeah. I feel like status duration is something in this game that they should look a lot more into this thing. There are so many effects in the game that could be enhanced by the use of status duration. Maybe you link something like the Ballistica Prime, the ghost effects with status duration. That could be awesome. But just thinking of it about that. So yeah. Let me see. I think that's kind of about it. Yeah. That is how I built Lavos so far. Personal opinion, I think that Lavos is a frame with really a lot of potential, but the same thing that makes him unique also makes him suffer, because you lose a lot by not using Brief Respite / the Augur set. I think that's actually really bad. So you have to rely on unreliable stuff to try and stay alive. That sucks. Maybe the best option would be to add an augment, which kind of turns around this thing, and just gives him some energy. I know, maybe even give him like a very low energy pull, like 100 or something, and just allow him to use energy. That could be something. Other than that, yeah, his kit is very interesting, but at the same time, if it wasn't me to use him for something like a weapon platform or to try to nuke, I have no idea what I would do with this guy. But also, maybe even thinking about the nuke, that might only be even viable for something like a survival, because where the hell are you gonna use something like a 36 meter because that's my build. Something like that. Nuking, you know. I don't really know. I wouldn't use anywhere else, pretty much. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. And the weapon platform, also, if it's not an exterminate or something like that, I don't know where I would use it. And that's kind of a part where Lavos, unfortunately, I think that he falls into that category of frames that they have cool abilities, but unfortunately there isn't really a gameplay that really favors him. So he could shine a lot, but there isn't a mission to make him shine that allows him to shine. You know, that's kind of what I think about him and about a lot of frames in this game. They don't really have a mission type to shine. Yeah. Last thing I want to talk about is, holy crap, what a beautiful Prime Warframe. I think he's one of the best Prime looking Warframes in the game. He is so freaking cool, like, holy Jesus. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that's kind of hard for me to actually compliment a Prime frame because I usually think they're too busy. They have too much stuff going on, and it's kind of where you can't really change some of the stuff that you just ends with the frame. Yeah, this one I'm actually complimenting. And yeah, he looks absolutely fantastic. I think he's awesome. But yeah, he looks amazing, but he has a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, I'm not a Lavos player, so yeah. And even after thinking that he's amazing and he has so much potential, I'm definitely not gonna use this guy until we get something like an augment for him, or we have better ways to make him work. Not that he cannot work, he can, but in a game, what do we have like a bunch of other Warframes that can perform close, if not better, but you have to deal with less crap than him. It's kind of hard, you know. But yeah, that's kind of it. Leave it a like, let me know what you think about Lavos Prime or also the frame himself. And peace.